Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Circus of Lies live stream. And for those of you who don't know, this came from Jim Castleberry, who claimed that this live stream is just Circus of Lies. So I figured I would lean into that and call this live stream Circus of Lies. I will add, we have a full stage today. We have Jeebus, Ook, Neil, and he's from the UK time, so it's like 2 a.m. or something over there. And John Clark and Blarg. Welcome, you guys.
Yeah, everyone.
From a topic point of view, what I wanted to cover was the Trump-Biden debate. And the reason for that is I think that Trump just basically outright lied about a lot of things that are just, matter of fact stuff. So I thought that was interesting just from kind of the things that we see in the chat, not the chats, in the comments, where, they're just going to outright just lie. And, one prime example is Monkey, where I've actually made a video post demonstrating how much of a liar he is. But there are others that basically don't seem to care about the truth. So I wanted to talk about the debate from that point. And then after that, if we have some time, we can go over some of the comments that both Monkey and Flojo have posted fairly recently. So with that, I'll turn it over to the rest of the guys. So I know few of you are three of you are not from the US. So have you guys seen the Biden-Trump debate?
No.
Yeah, I saw some of it.
Oh, blood. Oh, mate. Off you go, blood.
Yeah, it wasn't terrific. Let's just say that. I was really, really hoping Biden would do a little better than that, but yeah, not great.
He pretty much confirmed what the right wing have been saying about him, that he's basically senile. And there were those moments.
Except, ironically, in prep to in the lead up to the debate, the right wing were also saying that he'd be loaded on some performance enhancing drugs, and you'd see him come out and just blitz the thing, and that's why Trump would lose, because Biden's on performance enhancing drugs. The irony being that Trump was almost certainly on his Adderall for it, and if they'd done a drug test, that would have come out. I saw a person who's a expert on ADHD, so he's a neuroscientist and psychologist, talking about ADHD as a condition which is diagnosable by observation. You don't necessarily even need to ask any questions. And so he was looking at the performance of Trump versus Hillary Clinton in the 2016 debates, and saying that in the first two debates, he was looking at how much his arms moved around, how much he made large movements and wandered off and did all these other things which are indicative of ADHD. And he was making, on average, 43 of these gestures per minute during the first two debates, and then that dropped to 13 in the third debate. And simultaneously, the amount of times that he went off on tangents and ran into weird places and disconnected bits of speech, which is also indicative, also simultaneously dropped. So he's saying you can concentrate on maintaining your position and not doing the arm movements and the likes, but it comes with the cost of cognition. So your speech goes down. You can't have both happen simultaneously. And also his eyes were vastly more dilated than in the previous. So yeah. And the point I thought was really interesting is that he was saying that if only Trump had been on Adderall the whole time, maybe he would have been a better president. that it's not something to be ashamed of. Just take the damn medication and be a better person. So, and yes, he was clearly much more controlled than he normally is in that, like, still full of lies, still full of, like, utter garbage. That doesn't change that. You can't medicate away narcissism and lying, but you can certainly help with the concentration. So yes, ironically, almost certainly Trump was the one on performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, I was actually
Hilarious.
wondering whether, that drug actually made him more amenable to lying, because I feel like the level of lying that was done in this debate was at a whole different level than the previous ones with Hillary. It seems like there was nothing holding him back from just like making things up.
Oh, that may just be habit, because he's got so used to the fact that it doesn't matter what he says, people will lap that up, and he's not going to get fact-checked. So just fire hose the bullshit until the people on the other end drown in it. And
Well, he
it's
won't get fact-checked during the debate, but obviously he will get fact-checked.
Yeah, but not on any of the channels that get watched by the people who vote for him.
Yeah. And the fact check wouldn't matter, to the people
No,
that
it
would be
doesn't.
voting for him.
No, the people who fact check him are the people that get ignored by the people who vote for him.
Yeah, it's a cult, and it
follows, yes,
it follows the Bite model right down to the T, because he tells everybody that believes him that everything that disagrees with him or casts dispersions against him is fake news, and you need to trust me because I'm the one that's trustworthy. So it's a feedback loop, but because the people that want to believe it for whatever reason, and we can certainly speculate for those reasons, but yeah, no, at the end of the day, only fact checking him in real time has any impact on the people who haven't decided whether or not to vote for him. Like, just
I don't know even if that would work. If it was fact checked in real time,
I don't think
the moderators,
it's going to work either. Yeah.
So
What
yeah,
it
if
can
the
do-
it's not going to cause him to go, okay, yeah, you got me. You got me. I lied. Never mind. Like, he's never going to do that. But it's the people that haven't decided whether or not to vote for him. And surprisingly, somehow, there are still undecided voters. So if you actually present them with the information while it's happening, before it has a chance to settle in, then that has a better chance of moving the needle.
well, so, to kind of tie it back into sort of our main topic, which is the atheist experience comments, I think this same pattern comes out in the comments where, we are fact checking in the sense that we, push back and post comments that say, hey, this is wrong. Here's the actual facts. But it does no good. The same set of guys aren't paying attention to that. They just ignore it. And in fact, they, kind of give the same lie over and over, despite it being, quote unquote, fact checked.
Yeah, there's quite an irony in that, isn't there? With the 6 things that God hates and 7 that are anathema, of which more than half of them are to do with lying. And you just go, but lie till your heart's content. Apparently, if you're lying for God, that's okay. Weird.
Yeah, morality for thee, but not for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're even thinking that, where, it's okay for me to lie because it's against atheists. I just wonder if it's, maybe it is kind of a cognitive dissonance thing where they'll keep saying this and they, in their mind, it's true. And this is, I think, especially the case with Flojo. And, any kind of corrections that are given to him, he'll just ignore and just assume that it's wrong and that what he thinks is right.
Yeah, part of the I and the T of the Bite model as well, the information control and thought control. He just doesn't think he's got a mental heuristic that allows him just to basically assume that anything anyone says who isn't on his side of the fence is just lying, so ignore them. So then he doesn't have to get any new information.
And that's why he won't. And that's why he won't do live debates anymore. Because anytime that he's done that, he's had to be, he's had to face the inconsistencies, the lies, the outright incorrect information that he's working off of. So that's why he creates this false standard of, well, people have to call me first. He's still trying to control that narrative. He's still trying to control the information, because in his mind, there's that disconnect where, if he, as long as it's in the comments section, you were absolutely right. He can ignore it. But if you're talking to him one-on-one, especially if there's a recording of it, then that stands the test of time for showing, no, what you thought is wrong, and you don't know what you're talking about. And he can't.
Anyone who claims to be a, what's the new word now, biblical Christian, has already closed their mind. They're rejecting reality. You cannot be a biblical Christian and accept reality. Dinosaurs were not around when humans were. The flood never happened. Humankind didn't come from one pair of people. You have to reject all of reality to be a biblical Christian. And that's what I've come up with. It's just, you're rejecting reality. I mean, Chris Maisie takes it one step further and goes flat earth Christian, but he's a rarity. But no one who is a biblical Christian lives in the real world, in my mind.
Yeah, so let me just give an example with what Flojo. So he went kind of on a rampage and gave a whole bunch of these posts, and these are all from I think a creationist site, Institute for Creation Research or something to that effect. And so it's just an online article, and he's just kind of posting it from there. So, I mean, just from a source point of view, it's, it doesn't really, it's not much. And not just that, it's actually, let me just show you where it came from. So it's basically this from Institution for Creation Research, and it's this guy named Henry Morris. He has a PhD, but that PhD is not in any of the any biological or sciences. It's in engineering. So this guy has
He's known as the father of modern creationism.
Yep. So he has, I guess I think he started ICR or something like that, or founded it. So, so this guy's definitely not a real scientist. That sounds kind of like, no real Scotsman fallacy, but in this case, he doesn't have the credentials or credibility. But, from that, Flojo is just posting all these things. And of course, this is kind of what I mean by us, fact checking. Like I guess Sunday gave quite a bit on that post. Sort of, this is the fact check. What
in
Morris
1963, he started the Creationist Science Institute with someone else.
Yeah. So what I wanted to point out is, after all these kind of posts that kind of dispute what's there, as well as, dispute the credibility of, the source of that information. And Flojo's response is, do I see any attempt at a valid rebuttal? Nope, just more empty criticism. So he's not even considering any of the responses that are put, right? He's put this on almost all the threads that he started, regardless of, the kind of responses that were there. he just says, hey, these aren't valid rebuttal. It's not clear what he means by valid rebuttal, but it actually doesn't matter for him.
Yeah, it means
I
whatever he
think what
wants.
he means by valid is agrees with him.
Yeah. So he can move the goalpost when however he wants, so that way he never has to admit that somebody else has a valid point against what he's posting. So valid means whatever he wants it to mean. He's wholly dishonest.
And that's where it's really hard to have any actual discussion, a good faith discussion with him. And I think we're at, it's pretty obvious that even if he did come on this live stream, we wouldn't be able to have any real back and forth with him. He's just going to kind of keep going with whatever script he has, whatever point he has, and it's not going to really engage with any responses.
Well, consider this, though. Everything that you said, I agree with in terms of him being a disingenuous, dishonest actor. But it's not a question of whether or not we can validly interact with him. When we interact with the dishonest actors, Flojo, Neppy, Jim, the list goes on, it's not a question of whether or not they're ever going to be honest. But people that are in the comments section seeing them be dishonest, and the fact that we hold them to account means that other people know, okay, they can see that it's the audience that we're arguing for and we're doing this for, not for the individual person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, I tell that to myself as well, that there is a benefit to putting up all this information to counter all these lies. But it does kind of gets tiresome because,
Sure.
I'm having to give the same correction so often.
Well, sure. And the Atheist Experience is a show that's been on for decades now. And you could boil down the entire show to what, a dozen different theistic arguments that have been smacked down every single time. But you still continue on, because if you don't, then that seeds the ground to dishonest actors, to logical fallacies, and to outright lies.
Yeah, I wonder if, what do you guys think about how it's been in the past? Like I said, with the Trump debates, I think 4 years ago, and, even before that, I think there was a little more consideration for what is true and what isn't. And that, even Trump, in the past, I think was a little more careful. He wouldn't say just outright lies. He would say something that's, a spin, more of a spin. But I think it has changed now. And I'm just kind of wondering, is that, especially for you guys that's been on the channel for a while, do you see that, the same kind of change has been happening on the channel as well?
I think it's just the host's responses have become a little more nuanced with information technology. They're able to give more factual responses, but it's not, with the rise of biblical Christianity, Christian nationalism, all that sort of stuff. It's not going to change the minds of them, of those sort of people. It's the people who are a bit, I'm not sure this religion is right for me. I'm looking for something else. Is there a middle ground? It helps. Sometimes helps those sort of people. And I just wish they'd push the recovering from religion and secular therapy a little bit more, because religion really does hurt so many people mentally and just fucks up their lives. And I think what everyone, all of us, and what people in the comments are trying to do is make the world slightly better. And I hope we are doing, I think we are doing that in a very small way, but it's gradual. You can't, everyone gets disillusioned with it, but we have to stick with it, even though we all get burnt out and need to take a break and that. But yeah, I think we are doing good work. I think we are helping humanity.
Well,
So,
but you think like 5 years ago, let's say you posted a response to some theist and let them know, hey, what you said was completely wrong. It's not factual, and here's the actual fact. Do you think at that time, whoever that poster was, that would they be more accepting of the correction?
yeah, I think they were at that time. I think there was a bit more give and take. No, we weren't, as a group, as jaded. And I think sometimes we all get a little short. But yeah, there's only so much dickiness you can take before you turn around and need to smack someone in the head. But verbally, yeah, I just think we have to keep going. The only thing we can hope is to help religious people who are genuinely looking for information. They mightn't want to lose their religion completely, but they're looking for, they're questioning, they're looking for something more moderate. And I think we've got to push the idea that that's good. You know, we don't want to make them completely atheist or hard atheist or whatever, but just give them the tools to hopefully become more moderate, and that will lead to something further on. I don't know. Other thoughts?
I mean, go ahead.
Denny, for example, that Christian guy who was having issues, and
Right.
all it took was basically all of you guys actually trying to help him, while all the Christians were basically throwing Bible verses and telling him he was wrong and all this sort of stuff. And you guys were going, well, you know, we don't believe what you believe, but how can we help you? And just doing that had him go, oh, you guys are right. And completely reject what everyone else was saying. So I think you know, you guys are helping.
Yeah, and I have to say, I feel like that really kind of was depended on Denny, because I think there's some people who come in the comments and they're just adamant, right, that they're right, and they are in a way just trying to show up the atheists. And when that happens, I think most of us just react very harshly, or more harshly. And I don't think Denny got to that level. I do remember there being kind of few mocking responses to him, but I don't think people are like, abusive.
I mean, DK?
Yeah, off you go, John.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was saying, are you talking? QC, you're talking about DK?
No, Denny, that Dennis guy.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I misunderstood who you're talking about. DK has always been.
It gets confusing because there's two Dennises. There's a good Dennis and there's a bad Dennis.
Yeah.
Wait, of the two, is one of them the converted Dennis?
I don't
think
so.
Yeah, that was Flowjo. Denny actually stated that it was the vitriol and the hate that Florida Wankman was talking about and just hitting him with, that said, no. If Christians hate like you, and that's what I've been seeing all my life, thank you. You've helped me decide that I'm, I don't think he said atheist, I think he said agnostic. And he wouldn't say Christian or atheist, he said, I'm just agnostic at the moment. And then he went away. He occasionally comes back in, but he's still in that process of looking for something that fulfills his need for spirituality, which isn't a bad thing. But he wants it on his own terms. He doesn't want to follow any dogma. He just wants to find a way to be happy and to respect people. It was the last time I had a reasonable little chat with him. And he said, I'm taking a break. I'll pop back in later on. And, he pops in every now and again. But yeah, Danny is one of the ones lately that has worked. But I've talked to a few and they've moved out of Christianity and not going into woo, but they're just looking for a system or a philosophy that allows them to be happy and not addict to people. They did to accept people for what they are. And I think they just want to be accepted as normal people themselves, if that makes any sense.
Well, I think for him, the trauma was that, with his homosexuality and his church really just kind of making it really difficult for him, to be himself. And, in a certain sense, I think he was kind of driven out. And then, Flojo probably helped that, right? Just by kind of reminding him how horrible Christianity can be for people who are not, who are not cis white, hetero.
He also started secular therapy. He privately contacted me, and he got hold of a secular therapist in his area, and it was helping him a lot. So yeah, we do help people, and we all are jaded, because we get so many wankers just coming in, and yeah, and I think if we can all try and tone that slightly, tone that slightly down, except for the people like, Florida Wankman, bloody Donkey, Jim, in whatever thing he is, and Spartan, and who's the APOT, whatever thing he's up to now.
Yeah, he's particularly toxic, I think.
Yeah, a lot of his posts are anti-Semitic, which just adds on top of the sludge that he's bringing into the conversation. A lot of the consistent trolls, I treat them with the same tit for tat modeling that I use for a lot of my life. I at least give them the chance to have some semblance of rational humanity. And the second that they go down their rabbit hole, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to smack you around for a while, because you clearly are not here to be human on any level. They're just
100% agree with you, John.
yeah. Like, all right, that's fine. Like you've chosen this path, and I'm going to let you continue to choose.
Just
Was it
give them as much
was it
rope as you can. Let them do it to themselves.
Yeah. Was it DK at one point? Was it yesterday by my clock? Just responded to me by saying, "Well, what are you going to do? You can't stop me." Like, okay. Stop you from doing what? What are you talking about? I call those types yipping inflatable meat clowns. That's awesome. So yeah, it's now. I mean, the ones that every once in a while there will be a thoughtful theist, and I do like to try and have conversations with them. I mean, I told you my brother is a conservative Catholic, and every once in a while he and I can actually sit down and have a reasonable conversation with each other. And for him, it's the community that he feels that he gets going to mass, and also because he suffers from the same existential dread that I do, which is, you know, the universe is cold and it doesn't feel, and his Catholicism is the only way that he's able to sleep at night. It's like, okay, well, I understand why you're saying that. I view religion the same way that I view gambling. I understand the appeal. There's just better things to do with your time and money. And at least so when we talk to each other on that level about the community and about what gets us out of bed to keep going in the morning, when we have those kind of civil conversations, and when I have them with other theists, not always in the comment section, but in other aspects of my life, you know, it is possible to there are reasonable theists out there. There are people with whom you can have reasoned discussion. I think part of what happens in YouTube and the YouTube comment section is that YouTube is driven by clicks. And so the more sensational, the more clickbaity, the more rage driven it becomes, you know, that drives up engagement. And so it's kind of the forum becomes the message. I think I kind of lost the thread at the end there, but was that wonky?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I wanted to kind of mention is, you know, in terms of, you know, we all recognize the regular trolls, but every once in a while we do get, you know, someone sort of new, and I think there's a danger in us, you know, depending on what they say, of kind of reacting harshly to them. So here's a post I had put in, and this was just kind of an informative thing. I wasn't really even trying to make any kind of like quote unquote atheist statement, but there was this guy, and I think he actually had responded or commented before. I just didn't remember it, but this Ricardo guy. And, you know, initially, you know, obviously this, you know, is not a good tone, but it sounded like, you know, he was just trying to be a little more philosophical, or trying to get on the philosophy side of theism, and kind of talking about epistemology, etc. But later on, it just became very obvious that, you know, he was really there to troll. And that point, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to treat him the same way that he's behaving in the comments. But I think that is kind of can be dangerous if that person just, you know, that was just, you know, how he was behaving, or that's how his persona was. But he may have been someone who was actually searching for, you know, for the truth, or to actually have a discussion. And I think that's something where, you know, especially I think some of the commenters, the atheist commenters, are more, I guess, harsh than others. But I think that's something that we need to watch out for.
With that, just reading as you were scrolling through, he really does look like he comes from the Darth school of presuppositionalism.
Yeah. I got that sense as soon as when after a few of the stuff that he commented, and it was very obvious he was going to, the kind of questions that he was asking, it's this whole, this is what Darth does, right? He just kind of asks stuff and then try to get into that script. So I did get that sense that he was doing the precept thing, and then I basically called it out. But not that it does any good with these guys.
So let me ask the question then, because you talked about some people being more harsh than others, and I absolutely can be one of the harsher people in the comment section. I admit to that. But when I start off with just saying things like, this is a presuppositional fallacy unless you can show XYZ, or this seems to be an example of you trying to shift the goalpost or the burden shifting. When I'm pointing out what I see to be a logical fallacy, is that more or less of the harshness that you're looking for or that you're talking about?
No, not that. I mean, when people kind of, and theists do this all the time, right? They just kind of respond really without adding any substance. They're
Right.
just, and I think those are kind of things that, we are kind of stooping to their level.
Okay.
And again, this is just, for anyone except the common trolls, the
right.
well-known
Yeah. No,
trolls.
I'm not worried about how I come across when I'm talking to Neppy or DK or Jim.
Yeah.
Although I am genuinely sad that my little sock puppet didn't show up again this week.
He's not going to show.
I know.
I don't think anyone on the live chat here or anyone in the comments is particularly an arsehole to any new theist or religious person who comes into the comments. I think, we genuinely try to understand where they're coming from. I think all of us do. And some of us click on to, oh, no, this guy's just full of shit, or, oh, I can't be bothered because I've heard it all. They're running a script. Yeah, I don't think any of us are particularly nasty straight off the bat.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, there is a danger of that, especially if the theists, if they kind of, start off behaving badly. But it's just that you don't know until, after quite a bit of exchange, where that theist is coming from. Are they actually open to responses, or are they just completely shut off?
And that's, yeah, off you go, Bob.
And I say it gets raised every so often, doesn't it? Like Bozo or Echo Chamber or whatever he's called at the moment.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to ask Neil, is Bozo definitely Echo? Because there are, from me I've been out of it again, for a fortnight. I've been as crooked as, yeah. Are they definitely the same person? They look the same person on paper.
Oh yeah, no, they basically, one of their first posts as Echo was saying, I used to be Bozo, this is a new account.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I missed that.
He was quite honest about who he was, but
well, that's refreshing.
Yeah. I'm using honest relatively there.
Yeah.
Less dishonest.
Yes.
And I think Echo is one where it seemed like he was at least, discussing some substance. So I did kind of like stick with kind of responding to him, relatively seriously for a while. But and I think I didn't know he was Bozo initially. So, but eventually just got to the point where I wasn't making any headway in what I
No,
was
they're
saying.
really weird posters because every so often they'll make sense, and
Yeah.
you can have a chat with them, and then they drift and then say something completely nuts, and it's like, am I talking to the same person?
Oh,
It's
I think I know what happens in a lot of those cases. I'm not saying in all the cases, but what I have seen is that, someone comes in kind of thinking, hey, I have a good or argument for theism. And then when they kind of get shot down, all their arguments are kind of pointed out to be, fallacious, and they're kind of backed into a corner. At that point, they change, right? They get into that troll mode.
Yeah, that's when the cognitive dissonance kicks in really hard, because they were really convinced that that was a great argument. It worked, it seemed terrific for them, and it was just pulverized. And just can't take that, and you just go, how can that be the case? And that's the way they can deal with it. Just attack the people on the other end, saying, well, you're ring fence your belief and put us on the outer.
And essentially, Jay Edith is stuck in that mode. He has no argument. So everything, when he says, you're a liar, it's basically just continual ad hominem responses because he doesn't have an argument.
The thing is, I think that he knows. I see little glimpses sometimes on why it takes him a while to respond. I think he knows that he doesn't have a response, and sometimes when you actually get him to say something new or answer a question that he hasn't answered before, I think those are the times when he's actually gone to whoever it is that counsels him and is his I don't want to say cult leader, but he definitely shows signs of having been in a cult. He's getting his theological guidance from somewhere, and every once in a while, when he gets checkmated, he has to go to that person, and that's when he comes back with something quasi new.
He does have three preachers, I suppose, or three preachers he quotes all the time.
Yep.
And he is being groomed by one of them. If you go to his Twitter feed, he's actually become sort of like a I don't know what they call them, lay preacher or whatever in that congregation. He's done a course and he's now teaching the congregation.
This is Jim Edith, or are you?
Yeah.
You have his Twitter handle?
No, sorry. I'm talking about Neppy. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But Edith definitely has he follows a doctrine. There is a preacher, and I've been trying to find by cross-referencing the stuff that he comes, like when he says something new and you question him, you go, I have found a few, they're not quite mega churches, but they're getting there. He seems to be following the answers he gives are very much like them, and I've got a list of three of them. I haven't got any of my files open or anything like that, but so I'm trying to track where his ideas come from, and they seem to be all from ultra right. Not mega churches, but growing mega churches, and they all appear to have grown in popularity and since Trump's been in, which is another thing. Trump has given people approval to be the arseholes they were arseholes in private, but it wasn't acceptable for them to be arseholes in public. Trump's allowed people to be arseholes in public now.
Yeah. I guess
Hey,
so.
have you-
My
speaking
question
of that-
is. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Red.
Sorry, I was just going to say. Speaking of the Trump and mega churches, did you see his spiritual advisor admitted to having digitally interfered with a 12-year-old while he was 21, and that went on for a while. The irony, protect the kids. But he'd been using this story about how he was how did he put it? How he was tempted by essentially this Jezebel when he was young, and he took time away, and how from the ministry, and how he found peace with God, and that's why he's back. And then eventually, this person who's now a woman, because it's happened like back in the 80s. She's like, I was 12, and they're like, oh, you failed to mention that, buddy. And so he's now had to resign from his mega church. I suspect it doesn't mean he's had to give up the profits from his mega church, though. He just doesn't have to do any of the work.
No, Christians love someone who's repentant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do whatever you like, so long as you say sorry.
That's it. And to me, anything like that is just that's repulsive. You've crossed a line, and I don't think you can ever really come back from it, especially if you try and cover up and then use your repentance as a way of gaining more followers and justifying your religious belief. It's wrong. I just really dislike that sort of.
I did have a question for you. You were talking earlier about possibly tracking down the source of Jim Edith's theology. I guess if we say hypothetically that you're 100% right, what then do we do with that information?
I think the best thing to do would be to come up with some sort of logical. I don't really know, because throwing logic at him and facts doesn't work, because you just get called a liar. I don't think there's anything we can do with it. It's just more of a intellectual thing with me, that I'd like to know where he's coming from, because he truly mystifies me. He's a 100% brainwashed victim of a cult. That's I hate to sound like I'm being dismissive of him. No, he is.
But you're saying that you're trying to understand him. That's how you understand him, and that's now. I also genuinely believe that he has a shame fetish, which is one of the reasons why I talk down to him the way that I do.
Yes, there is some sort of sexual, and I think that comes. There is some sort of fetishness that so many of them have.
Now, here's what he would. Sorry.
Yeah, off you go. Yeah.
I was gonna say. So here's what I would recommend as the reason for track. I think being able to understand how he forms his conclusions and how he operates is definitely a good thing. The better that you know the person that you're talking to, the more you try to understand them, the better. Even if it's a toxic sludge troll like him, because it makes it easier to keep others from falling into that trap. If the end goal is to keep others from falling into the same ideological sludge and keeping others from falling into that toxic troll behavior, then you isolate him to the point where he either A, you eventually get through the 10 feet of concrete around his skull, which probably will never happen, but it might, or you keep him isolated so that the virus of his toxic troll behavior doesn't spread. And there is why I think having a better understanding of where he's coming from yields benefit.
Yeah, and I think it's the former that the latter that I'm definitely drawn to. I want to know, where he's getting it, where he's coming from, and hopefully I can identify it early in other people and sort of maybe gently introduce them to new ideas.
Yeah.
I can't talk for too long before I start to, I've given up on using hankies to blow my nose. I've now moved on to tea towels. So,
by the way, with
what
Super Sunday wrote in the chats, he thought that Florida was setting up some live stream because he had said he had made a post. By the way, for those of you who have my contacts, feel free to join my live show for a one-on-one friendly discussion. That is, if anyone can find the courage to do so. What he means is that, for someone to call him on his phone and have a one-on-one discussion, it's not for some kind of live stream or on a YouTube.
He is obsessed.
Yeah, he just wants to preach.
Yeah.
Well, he said that on his both times he's been on here. He said, I didn't get a chance to preach the gospel, actually. But I have a huge problem with someone who needs to. I'm not giving out my phone number.
Oh no, I have very specific reasons why I will never let him have my phone number.
Yeah, I mean, once Neil and I managed to coincide, I'd have no problem with actually talking on the phone to Neil, because I think a lot of our, I don't want to say spirituality, but a lot of our thinking and our philosophy, I think, coincide. Even though I identify as an atheist, and but because of my upbringing and the contact that I have had with Australian Aboriginals, that Neil and I gel. So yeah, once Neil and I don't have a problem with that. But someone like Flojo, no, he's this. You'd need a burner phone.
Well, so you can have a quote unquote a burner phone. You can set up a Google Voice phone number, and you can just delete it afterwards. And that's what I did. When he wanted to contact me for the debate, I just created a Google Voice number and contacted him via text, and eventually he kind of forced me to have a voice call prior to the debate. But that's what he wants. He wants that voice call. And he keeps on thinking that Neil and John have his number. And you guys don't, right? Just to confirm again, you guys don't. Yeah.
I do not have his phone number. I have no interest in his phone number. I am not going to call him. I am not going to have a one-on-one phone conversation with him. I will only debate with him. I will only talk with him in a forum such as this. He will not ever, no, absolutely not. For a lot of different reasons. Not the least of which is that, in my opinion, he's clearly engaging in bully and dominant alpha behavior, which he hasn't earned. He's not to mention the fact that, again, he has no problems with it being recorded. He has no problems with being on the record. So at the end of the day, this is just about him trying to dominate and control.
Yeah.
And I will not reward behavior like that. Absolutely not.
Well, so what this is an example of what we were talking about at the beginning, where they're just ignoring matter of fact. So we've already told him, multiple times now, that neither John nor Neil has his number, but he keeps on saying the same thing, right? Even the post that he made, that if anyone has for the people that have his contact, that if you don't somehow contact him, that you don't have the courage to do so. It's just like he's just ignoring the facts.
I think
So
Well, the facts aren't important to him.
I think I have seen him.
About
I think I have seen him post his number up doing the 1 digit at a time per line thing.
Yep.
And I think maybe that's why he assumes people have got his number, because he's posted it while people were posting. But that would require us to actually pay attention to what it was and write the thing down. And being none of us were interested in calling him, we won't have his number because we ignored it.
But
I actually might be interested in that, like as Q said, the set up a
Google Voice.
Google Voice. It might be interesting because I can't understand it. Hang on.
You right?
Whoops. I think he said he was still a little under the weather.
Yeah, sorry about that, people. Tried to mute, but I couldn't get my hand fast enough. I've never understood this alpha beta thing, mainly because anyone who tried to be alpha physically or face to face with me, I've just end up knocking out. But yeah, I think I would be willing to do that once I get rid of whatever the hell's going on in my sinuses.
By the way, I told him that I've rescinded his invite because he was whining, I think a day or two back about, how we're constantly begging him to come on the live stream. We're definitely not begging him.
No.
So I basically said, okay, if that's what you think, you don't, you no longer have an invite to be on the show. But Ook, if you do want to contact him and arrange something, then I'm fine having him where you debate with him or whatever you want.
Yeah, leave it live for a little bit once I get over this. Yeah, I've also got the whatever's going on in the sinus.
You didn't come down with the COVID, Ook?
No, it's not COVID, but I've also
because I'm just backing up from that.
Oh no, it's a sinus infection, but for some unknown reason, the drug regimen that I'm on normally, along with the antibiotics, has caused it's like from my knees down,
heat rash.
It's like a severe heat rash, blisters. My skin is peeling. Yeah, it's weird. I'm generally sort of feeling black. Yeah, so hopefully it will sort itself out shortly.
Sounds a little bit like cellulitis. Not a great thing.
Well, I've got nerve neuropathy from the back. It's sort of in my feet, a bit like a diabetic. I've got to be very careful because I can't feel my toes. I don't have full feeling in my feet or my toes, so I've got to be careful I don't end up, with a cut or something on there that becomes infected. And all the medication that I'm taking at the moment seems to be aggravating that that a lot. And yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, I don't know whether it's the sinus infection has just been kicking the crap out of me. So yeah, but not COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
Clark,
as I said,
you had COVID, right?
yeah, I tested positive on Thursday morning, my time. So had a scritchy throat on Wednesday, and then Wednesday night, that was pretty rough. And you go, wow, that is a lot of fever. So checked. I thought, oh, maybe it's not the flu, maybe it's COVID. Yeah, go and do the little test. There's the 2 lines. You go, son of a bitch. But by Friday, I was down to mild fever, and then Saturday, so yesterday was there was no sign of any fever anymore. So yeah, I seem to have sailed through it pretty quickly. Yay for being partially vaccinated.
Yeah.
I think I've have you had the 4 or the 5 vaccinations?
The 2 originals and 2 boosters.
I'm at 5 now because I'm considered immune compromised with
Well,
all the other shit.
I'm well past when I should have got the next booster. It's probably 18 months since the last one. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it's been on my list of things every time I go past the chemist. The last time I was in a chemist, I'm like, oh, you guys do vaccinations? Go, oh, you got to fill out this form first. I'll do it later.
Yeah,
And then bam, take that. That'll learn me.
With all the
and what have we learned?
I was getting in the spine. I wasn't allowed to have COVID shots. So as soon as I finished those, bang, went and had my 5th one. So yeah, well worth getting vaccinated if you don't have a condition that could work.
That's why we want as many people vaccinated, so there's herd immunity for people who cannot get vaccinated.
Yeah. No, I know.
The over here is with the flu jab. If you're in the target group, it's automatic on the NHS now. They
we do in Australia too.
I still wear a mask when I go into shops. And a lot of the times I'm the only person in a mask, and occasionally I get looked at, so I just cough, and they tend to leave me alone.
A question, Oop.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with the being magnetic? Sticking to everything. After 5, you should be like a bloody one of those things in a junkyard. Just stick to cars.
Yeah. No, I wish I was, because it'd be easier to pick things up.
There's a joke in there somewhere about finally being attractive.
Yeah, no. I think I got reverse magnetism. Oh, the other thing is I've noticed, if you have a long beard, the last thing you want is a severe sinus infection. Because you blow your nose, and then you've got to spend 5 minutes making sure that it hasn't somehow made its way into your facial hair. Oh, I've had to,
gross.
Yeah, I've had to really sort of like plait and tie the beard up. Yeah, worse than even more than when I have to eat soup. It's it's really weird. But anyway, that's enough of me.
Well, let's change the topic off of our COVID health. So Super Sunday had posted that thing about I guess DK still going on a rant about that whole what was it? Oh, attacking the book blurb. That whole plagiarism thing. This is just like another classic example of where facts don't really matter. Despite the video that I'm not sure if he saw, but it was pretty clear that he plagiarized. And from his point of view, he's not even at this point, he's not even disputing that. His attack now is that I attacked the book blurb, which is sort of a weird argument to make.
Well,
Yeah,
remember
but
that my big theory. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Basically, I'm just saying he's admitting the complaint we made against him, that he didn't read what it was that was there. He just read some little snippet and then goes, "I'm an expert on such and such," and starts going on about it, which is why I keep hammering about the spelling. If he'd actually read the book that he claimed he'd read, he would have had one of two things would have happened. One, he would have had the spelling as per the book he'd read, and most of them have a different spelling to the one he was using. Or he would have immediately been able to say that the book that I have is second edition, which is the one that's spelt the way it is, and thus proven it. But he just went on and on trying different, like, that's how the French people spell it, and that's how it's done over here, and there's lots of different ways you can spell it. And you go, dude, if you had the book and you'd read the book, it would be on the book and you wouldn't have to go to other sources. And then he's like, but look, there it is. There's a copy of the book with it on it. And you go, yeah, that took you days to find. Clearly proving that you didn't have the book and you didn't read the book.
Well,
and now
he
he's
kept
admitted he's only done the blurb.
Well, he hasn't directly admitted it, but it was just funny for a long time. He kept on saying that I hadn't read the book. So I can't say anything, etc. And he kept on doing that without ever really admitting that he read the book, because he obviously didn't.
It's your street wisdom getting in the way there, Q. Your street wisdom.
That's true. Which is why you rue the day that you talked to him. He's a disingenuous actor. He's not here to be intellectual or honest, or he's just here to be a provocateur. That's all he's here to do, is to get negative reactions, to get people riled up. He's just here to he's just here to be a crank. That's all he wants.
Am I the only one that thinks he has a bottle of lube and sits on a towel while he makes his posts? Or is that too sexual?
Oh dear.
Dude, come on. Yeah, I think Neppy and Jim Edith, I think, genuinely believe what they're talking about on some basic core level. DK is not here to he doesn't. He's just trying to get negative reactions out of people. This is not about anything genuine for him. I mean, and the simplest way that I realized that this was absolutely the case, to me anyway, was when he posted again yesterday by my time, when he said, "I've never read any of your comments," to me.
Right. Which is a lie.
Yeah, which is an outright lie, because he and I have gotten into some epic threats. So that to me was proof positive. Any doubt that I had before was like, okay, you're just a crank.
He's quoted verbatim your comments, John.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
Wait. He actually quoted something?
Yes.
Well, yeah. He's quoted other people, John's comments, my comments, Blarg's comments.
But did he give me credit?
No.
Well,
he did use quotation marks though.
Okay.
Well, the thing is,
using quotation marks is at least better than what he normally does, which is, and that's how all this got started with the most recent thing, is that he won't even use quotation marks. He'll just take a section out of Wikipedia, a section out of wherever, and just post it. No context, no citation, nothing. And
you're right. He did do that before. He essentially plagiarized the wiki.
Yep. And so that's why he's on this rampage now. It's because he's been called out on it finally. But he getting him to actually commit to a specific answer. See, when I first started interacting with him, he said that he was a Gnostic. That's why I started calling him Friar Fallacy. Now he's saying that he's an Orthodox, but you'll notice he didn't specify an Orthodox of what. And that's because what he wants people to jump the gun and accuse him of being an Orthodox Jew, an Orthodox Christian, an Orthodox whatever. And then goes,
well, he's Christian.
No liar. Go ahead.
He's definitely Christian of some sort.
Yep.
Orthodox, I think, and I don't want to be disingenuous here, but I think Americans misuse the word Orthodox Christian because they don't really know what it means. Because it's, are you Orthodox Ethiopian? Are you Orthodox Eastern? Are you Orthodox Russian? Are you Yeah, there's.
I think he is
variants.
Russian, because I did make a comment even before all this that he might be either Romanian or possibly Russian. And then later when he claimed he was an Aussie, I figured that maybe he selected
That's
Australia. Well, I know, but he may have selected Australia because the time zones kind of match, you know? So he might be a Russian Orthodox.
He's definitely said he's Eastern Orthodox once.
So that what is that Greek? The Greek Orthodox?
It's in the same ballpark.
Same ballpark.
So it's all part of the schism with the Catholics. So odds are he would be Russian Orthodox as opposed to any of the others.
I
If you
might,
become an Ethiopian Orthodox, you have the Ark of the Covenant. That they make the claim they've got it. So that'd be something. You're not allowed to look at it, of course, but that they have it.
Well, you
I'm
can
Does
look
it
at
still
the Ark
meant
of the
Nazis?
Covenant. You could look at the Ark of the Covenant. You just have to be really jonesing to do it.
Yeah, you need to use mirror, some Medusa type thing.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even give him as much credit as trying to attribute him to being an actual theist of any kind. He's a crank, pure and simple. He's not interested in, because to me, somebody who's actually a theist is at least interested in expressing some specific view, or at least allowing themselves to be identified as Christian. He won't even do that. He won't identify a specific deity. He throws around terms like Gnostic and Orthodox. He throws around this concept that he's this well-learned, austere, white male. He throws these things around because he wants credibility and he wants that stature to get you to just back down and go, you're learned, you're this, you're that. He's none of those things. He lies. He's a pathological liar. He's a coward. I have zero patience for him, and nothing he says is true, and that includes the words and, at, and the.
Yeah, he's sort of, I was going to say this earlier, sort of pathological narcissist. Just lies continuously in order to win. He doesn't care about any of the stuff really. He just wants to win. So yes, he just keeps switching things. He won't commit to anything because if he commits to something, then he has to defend that position.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think that's right, because when he gets on this rant, whenever he's kind of been demonstrated to be wrong, about something, and then he does everything to try to prove that he was right somehow, and a lot of that is just gaslighting or just trying to find some interpretation that makes him what he said not wrong, and I see that with him like multiple times.
To a lesser extent, Neppy does that too, where he'll try to gaslight, or he'll try to bend words, or he'll try to change the subject and move the goalposts, and it's it's tiresome.
Yeah, but you don't see Nepi like making 3-4 post responses to every reply that you put in.
That's true. That's true. Although he doesn't respond to me much anymore. Sometimes I can egg him on, but he knows that if he responds to me that I can checkmate him pretty easily now. Especially now that I've started calling him a purple space penguin.
Neppy runs away from me fairly often. I think I got him started once on evolution, and then as soon as I mentioned he wasn't using the right definition of under science, he just left and never really spoke to me again. So
yeah, he's another one that can't handle having his worldview shaken even a little bit.
yeah.
Well, being that he's gone to jail twice for fraud, truth is never as important as winning.
Oh yeah,
And Monkey isn't pushing that whole Aussie persona very much. He made that one comment and that's it. He hasn't brought it up at all, even when I kind of goad him multiple times.
And for him to keep going on about the Yeti is
right.
Yeah, I mean, Hogarth and I keep laughing with each other about the evolutionary track of the Yeti and the Bunyip and the Yowie and the Bigfoot. How he's tied that into Australia is just, yeah. I think he may be living in, he's definitely in Europe, I think. And from what I can tell, maybe an ex-Soviet place, definitely more to the east of Europe.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting. I don't know. Neil would probably understand Europe.
Wait,
Yeah.
so Romanians have Orthodox church, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
And they have opened their doors to immigration quite a lot. And I think they have a reciprocal pension or super or something they do with several countries, all being part of the EU. They're able to get their pensions and their bank accounts and all that sort of moved around, and you're not losing stuff, which unfortunately the UK is now completely fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think he's in an Eastern Europe country. He might even be in Greece, though why anyone would go to Greece is beyond me. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, the time zones match up with that kind of area.
Yeah, that's what I did. I'm sort of getting to Neil. Yeah.
And the odd word he uses are basically spelt how they would be pronounced. So they for example, the Talmud that he brings up, he always spells with 2 T's.
Yes,
It's always the
definitely
Talmud,
that one. Yeah,
which is definitely an Eastern European pronunciation of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any indication from him he speaks any other language whatsoever, and very few people who come from that part of the world are monolinguistic.
I think he may have been born in Aussie and moved very early on to Europe.
Yeah, but still, like, if you're living in Romania, you're gonna want to be able to speak the language.
You got to be multilingual.
Yeah, you're gonna be, and there's no indication whatsoever that he speaks any other language. There's never any hint of that from him. There's never a word that that pops up that is a foreign word.
Yeah, I mean, you can live in Greece and Spain and not speak and just speak English because there are huge
Well,
expat sort of. But
I was in Spain at an airport when the airport went on strike, which was fun. And the Barcelona airport, and there wasn't a single English speaker to be found anywhere, which was kind of remarkable. As asking around, going, "What the hell is going on?" Like all the belts had stopped, just the baggage wasn't coming out. The baggage handlers went on strike. Just as my luggage was about to come off the travelator. But yeah, got stuck without a single person who spoke English in the entire crowd of people standing there, and you just go, that is weird, because we hadn't come across that anywhere else while we were there.
No, I mean, Spain and Europe are the only two European countries where I've sort of come across a lot of English speakers.
Oh yeah, there were. It was just that one place.
Yeah, that don't know any foreign language. You know, most people who go over there can at least, you got a smattering of Italian, you got a smattering of French, a bit of German, even Aussies, because we have, you know, the largest Greek population outside of Greece, and Italians, especially from where you and I were brought up. I mean, Christ, towns up there have got most of the street signs in Italian as well as English. Yeah, he's not bilingual at all that I can tell, which
I don't know. I always
weird.
got the sense that, and maybe it's just that he's not culturally, you know, he doesn't seem to understand the Western culture very much. So that's why I thought maybe he, you know, wasn't a primary English speaker. But I guess he could just be, you know, very Eastern European.
His phrasing's a bit weird at times. He'll occasionally drop the two.
By the way, it's I was looking at, so I had made this post to explain his point about me attacking the blurb. But this, I thought at first I thought this was Holger. So he said, nope, for once I agree. QC's action make no sense. But then I just realized it isn't Holger, right? It's some other account.
Oh boy. Well, hold
But
your
it was
bot.
from 5 months ago.
That'll be a pop.
Let's say pop. Yeah,
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did the same to me.
Since he came
He's done
back,
it to Blog. He's done it to a few others.
He did. I mean, the first time he came in a couple of years ago, he made who was it, Blog? You or me? He made the most clone profiles of.
Yeah, you got the win on that, Ook. You got 6.
I got the win on that.
4. Yeah.
And,
so I was a bit disappointed, to be frank, that it was only deserved 4.
But he did
really
AJ. He did. He went through a whole heap of us, and since he's been back, he's done Neil, and obviously this one, Holger. Yeah, that's.
Oh, you know, I looked at the, you know, when it joined 5 months ago, so I thought maybe that wasn't a troll, but I guess he could have just taken a 5-month-old account and just renamed it.
Yeah, you can sometimes spot that by looking in the emails. If you've got emails from his other accounts of a similar age where he's responded to you, it'll be the other name in the email, and then when you click on it, it'll take you to the current name.
Yeah.
That's why when I do my files, I always take a copy of the YouTube address so I can double check that they haven't changed things. But no, that's him. That's APOP.
Okay.
He's also threatened in this new incarnation to make anyone who pisses him off too much, he says, "Oh, I think I might change my name or make a name, like Jeebus or something like that." He's threatened several people to do that. Yeah, he's just a little scumbag.
Like, what is
Yeah,
he
at
doing?
first I thought it was Holger just kind of trying to be ironic, trying to be funny, but then, like I said, I noticed the difference.
What I do suggest is that, because people claim that, Q and I are the same, and Neil is also us, and all this sort of stuff, is
Yeah.
do I subscribe to the regular commenters? It's a way of keeping track. If someone comes in and comes in with John Clark's name, and it's sort of like, that's a weird thing for John to say, and I'll double check. Hang on, I'm not. Yeah, it's a bullshit, John.
Yeah.
That's a good way of keeping track of who people are. It's also a good way to completely mindfuck the trolls, because they say, why would you be subscribed to someone who has no content? You wouldn't do that unless you were the same person.
Plus, I don't need the help to do bullshit.
Yeah. But that's just something I do, that, yeah, it helps sort out who is who. And, because if someone makes a strange comment and you go, oh, I don't think John would make that comment. And yeah, oh, no, it's not John.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like him.
Yeah. That's something I do. And it really does, especially with APOP, it really does make his mind twist in weird ways, because he said, oh, you're subscribed to all these people who have no content, yet that means you must be them. And what was it, a couple of weeks ago, I said, Q's the world's greatest ventriloquist, because he can actually carry on 3 different conversations simultaneously in a live chat. Yeah, it's
In about 4 different accents.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't think he actually believes that, right? He just kind
I don't know. I can't work APOC out. He's just, to me, he's past Neil would understand this. You get a Nigel come up to you. They're the guys who, the camera is this and that and that. Piss off, Neil. Piss off, Nigel. They're like train spotters. He's gone past that to the point of just, he drinks alone in the pub. No one goes near him. Or the Australian version, he drinks with the flies. Yeah. Anyway, I'll shut up because I'm about to cough.
So Monkey's new word isn't ancillary. He was bringing up some other topic. What was that? No, I don't remember. Does anyone remember? No.
Was he onto something? Is he onto something new?
Yeah, he was like another new word that he brought up that's kind of pseudo philosophical, and that's where he mentioned being Eastern Orthodox. Was it? It's
oh, that's right.
It starts with an H. Hypostatic, which is just another word for ontology, but he's like, he kept on bringing up stasis, asking what is the atheist logical hypostasis.
Oh yeah.
Which is really nonsensical, but
so he's gone through scholarly dictionary of the word of the day.
That or he just
maybe he
Googled the
picked up.
phrase. Or he just Googles the phrase synonym for blah.
I think he may have picked it up when he was reading the 50 to 100 pages of philosophy.
That's true. That is a word that will come up if you read enough books. That's true.
And it is something that's more tied to Christianity with the idea of the Trinity, and that's where when he was kind of forced to define it, he brought up the Orthodox, and he said we Orthodox, which kind of that I don't know if he was doing it on purpose or not.
No, well, because I mean he called himself Gnostic about a year ago, so that's why I asked him when did he convert. I don't think I saw a response to him.
Yeah, I mean there is a connection between Gnosticism and Eastern Orthodox, I think.
Be that as
I'm
it
not
may.
100% sure.
Well, so the point of the question is not for whether or not there really is. It's to get him to spin his wheels and to show his dishonesty yet again. Anytime that you try to get him to define terms or explain something further, you can tell when he's being disingenuous and he's just bullshitted his way through another response by either the fact that he will dodge and deflect, and or he just won't respond until you ask him the question enough times, and basically annoying him into Googling the phrase or coming up with some BS response. But that's how you know when you've gotten under his skin, because if you respond to him and say, well, what do you mean by this, or when did you convert, when you ask him these probing questions, he can't respond because it's just another lie. So that's why I'm convinced that he's not an Orthodox anything.
Yeah, and that's why I would like to have him on, not because we I think we're going to have a good discussion, but just being able to see if he really is like this, if his mind really is like this, where it's just illogical and he can't maintain an argument, or whether this is all just a show.
Plus, it'd be nice to hear
just
another
replied
Australian accent.
to a few things on your previous video queue, and since I mentioned that we're live and you should come join us, he's kind of shut up.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't expect that he would actually join our
Oh no, he
live
won't. He's
stream,
too
but
scared.
yeah. But like I said, it would be kind of fascinating to hear him for real.
I will admit, I agree with you. I have a morbid curiosity.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just, no, I know this is gonna be terrible, but I can't stop myself.
It's funny whenever.
You can't look away.
Yeah, it's funny whenever he says like, "Oh, are you triggered?" His kind of way of saying triggered, and like every time he says it, it's like there's nothing that would have made any rational person think that there's any triggering going on, but he seems to think that that is some kind of argument or some kind of retort.
See, and that's what makes me think that he's a native English speaker, because his propensity towards tweaking the English language shows a sort of a more innate a more innate understanding of the mechanics of the language.
No, but I think he sometimes picks these things up. I do see that sometimes when he's making insults and stuff, it's a lot of times insults that were made against him.
That could, yeah, okay. I mean, there's the problem is that when all you have is the written word, when all you have is the text, like less than 10% of the actual meaning can come across. because you don't have tone inflection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's just way too much. There are way too many variables. But to me, the way that he jokes, like when he says that stuff, it's almost like he's trying to do mocking back rather than parroting. Like that's the impression that I get. And his use of subtle spelling changes for things like Twiggood. That's what makes me think that he's native, that he's a native English speaker.
No, it's I think the Twigger thing is actually a misuse of it. Because so the real insult is, oh, are you feeling twiggered? Kind of doing this like little kid thing. So just saying twiggered doesn't make sense. You would have to add it with, feeling twiggered.
Yeah, I mean, again, I absolutely willing to concede the possibility of your point because there's just he won't come on to actually talk.
Yeah.
So all we have is text, and so we can go round and round on that possibility and even concede plausibilities. At the end of the day, he's a dick.
So John, I do see you kind of trying to goad some of these guys to, come on to live stream. I don't know if any of you other guys are doing that, but even if like you don't want to, directly, debate those guys or whatever, I think if you see someone who might be interesting, do ask them, like that once pre-sub guy. We did talk about, bringing in a pre-sub person. So I did try to get that person on, but for the most part, they don't want to come on the live stream and talk.
Well, so my invitations are often a way of further calling out the cowardice of folks like Neppy, Jim, etc. But there were a couple of folks that I'm genuinely interested in hearing what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I will dial it back.
No, I would, I definitely don't mind, and if we can get someone, it would definitely be interesting. So don't stop.
Okay, and honestly, there was actually a part of me that genuinely did think that I might have been able to get Humanists Are Evil on the channel today.
Yeah, because
I actually thought that I actually was like, you know what, maybe maybe he'll come on. And
when I saw that, that, oh, I'm on right now, let's debate, I was pretty sure that he didn't mean like actual voice discussion. I think he meant what all these other guys mean, just back and forth on the comments. That's the impression I got. But I did kind of, leave hope for, that he might possibly get on.
Sure. And he's so as long as he, I will stick to my tit for tat response modeling. In other words, if he's cordial and polite and actually wants to have a real discussion, I have no problems with actually hearing what he has to say, and I'll play nice. But if he starts going down that anti-Semitic stuff that he does, then I have no problems responding in kind.
All right. Okay. So with that, let's close off. Does anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
One thing, with trying to get people on here, would anyone be adverse to, if we do manage to get someone on who only wants to talk to one of us, would the rest of us be willing to sort of like shut up for the main chat and then ask questions? I think we're all open to that.
If that was the case, I would actually, leave just those two people on the stage. And everyone else can be, in the live chat. So,
100%.
Yeah, no, I'm like that too. Yeah. So they don't have to be frightened that we're all going to, scrum them. So yeah.
which is why I do make a point of staying live one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that way,
Okay,
so
so maybe next week we'll have someone, but for this week, we will close it out here. Thank you everyone for being on and being on the live chats, and we will all see you in the comments.